Hello friends, this is Biswanath. In this session 2 we'll discuss on SAP Architecture, SAP Gui and different kinds of work processes. Then we'll give an overview of SAP Memory management and also we'll explain how roll-in and roll-out process works. This session will help you to understand the system properly before starting ABAP. Now we will show you the SAP architecture. SAP ERP is a three-tier architecture. The first layer is presentation layer. The second layer is application layer, that is the NetWeaver application server, and the third layer is database layer, the database server. Okay. In this presentation layer, the SAP Gui client is installed in the system, through which the end user send request to the application server. It follows DIAG, means Dynamic Information and Action Gateway Protocol, or you can say it as SAP Gui protocol. The user has also the flexibility to send the request from the web browser. It can be HTTPS or HTTP or SMTP protocol. In the application server, the server can have a single stack. This is the application server. The server can have single stack, means the ABAP stack only, or dual stack, means ABAP and Java stack, both. Irrespective of any stack, the request from the client first hits the dispatcher. The dispatcher is just like a, this is a dispatcher. Dispatcher is just like a receptionist. For ABAP stack, ABAP dispatcher accepts the request and forward the request to the particular work process. The dispatcher is responsible to start the work process and distribute the work among all the work processes, and also maintain the connectivity with SAP Gui client. Okay. In ABAP instance, the work process, in the ABAP instance, this is the ABAP instance, the work process is a component of the application server that executes an ABAP application. SAP work process begins with the system when it is started. Each work process has its own PID, means process ID. Okay. Here work process can be of different types. It can be a dialog work process, it can be background work process, it can be a spool work process, or in queue, or update also. There are two types of update work process. One is V1 and one another is V2. UPD and UP2 work process are there. Okay. Each work process consumes two kinds of memory. One is local memory for each work process, and also they share a memory area that is called shared memory, where SAP buffer, extended memory, role buffer, everything resides. Okay. For Java and ABAP instance, if a request coming from the end user via web client, suppose this one, it can be a intranet or outside from internet. This request should hit the SAP web dispatcher first. Then it will forward to the Java dispatcher. this web dispatcher, SAP web dispatcher is just a free of cost provided by SAP, and the main benefit of this web dispatcher is the ABAP dispatcher only follows the DIAC protocol. It does not understand the HTTP and HTTPS or SMTP protocol. So SAP web dispatcher helps to understand, to convert the request that is ABAP dispatcher can easily understand. Okay, it also works as a SAP web dispatcher also works as a reverse proxy and a load balancer, because it has all the visibility of the applications of the message server. It is directly connected with message server, so it has the visibility of every instances. So SAP web dispatcher forward the request to the ICM. This is the ICM. ICM means Internet Communication Manager for the particular application server. So web dispatcher forward the request to the ICM of the particular application server. ICM has the handler of like ABAP handler and Java handler, and many, total 9 kind of handler are there, sub handler are there in ICM. Now once the request comes from the SAP web dispatcher to ICM, if the request requires ABAP code and means to process ABAP code, then it forwarded by the ABAP handler to the ABAP dispatcher. If it is for Java code, then it forwards via Java handler to Java dispatcher. For Java dispatcher, there are Java dispatcher forwards the request to the Java server process, and once the Java server process has execute the code, and it sends back the response to the particular web client. Now if the Java server process wants to communicate with SAP work process, then it uses SAP Gui, means Java connector. SAP Gui is basically a middleware component that enables the development of SAP compatible components and application in Java. During the development of Java code, we need to just import SAP Gui.jar library in our code. Gui inbound call means Java calls SAP. Gui outbound call means ABAP calls Java. Okay. Now, okay, in ICM, I forgot to tell that in ICM there are called memory pipes. Through these memory pipes, the work process of ABAP server and the Java server both can communicate. Also, ICM also helps to communicate the SAP nativeware to the outside world via HTTPS or SMTP. You can check the ICM in any application server. There is a T code called SMICM. Now once the data has been processed by the work process or the server process, the data gets stored into the database layer. Applications in the database layer, means the database, it may be Oracle DB2, SAP HANA, SAP Sybase, SQL Server or MySQL. Okay, this is the overall architecture of SAP. Okay. Now in SAP Gui there are 3 flavors. One is for SAP for Java, SAP for Windows, SAP Gui for Windows, and SAP Gui for HTML. mainly we use SAP Gui for Windows, but for Linux or any other environment, if you want to install SAP Gui for Windows, it will not be it cannot be installed, so we need to install there SAP Gui for Java. In Windows also we can install SAP Gui for Java. For HTML view, we need to there is one SICF transaction is there, from where we can give the link of SAP Gui for opening the HTML page. Here you can check this one, the third. So through it also we can access SAP server, application server. Now there are different kind of work processes are there that we have seen in the SAP architecture. The first work process is dialog work process, second work process update work process, third is background, fourth is spool work process, and fifth is in-queue work process. In the update work process, it can be subdivided into three parts. One is update work process, V1 process, update 2 work process, and V3 work process. Okay, so one by one we will go through. What the dialog work process, this dialog work process is required to process all the screen based or dialog program based programs which has been executed by the active user. Means whenever a screen related program get executed, dialog work process is responsible to process it. Whenever any update is required inside the dialog program, if there is any update of the table is required, then dialog work process, update work process is get called inside. It is controlled by commit work command. Okay, so inside that update work process there is one V1 work process. V1 work process is required to update the critical or the primary request or changes. It is a synchronous update. Okay, the profile are DSP WP in V. This is the where we can maintain in RJ11. We can increase the V1 process, so at least one V1 process should present in the server. V2 or update 2 work process is that to update the less critical or secondary request or changes. It is a asynchronous update process. So any statistical table update then it is V2 is required, otherwise V1 is required. If there is no V2, then it will call V1 update process. V3 is totally reserved for SAP. It is used for BW database update request. It is a asynchronous method which is executed in background. The main disadvantage of V3 is it does not ensure the serialization. Okay, now the background process, when a work process is, when suppose a program is executed, then in background, that time background work process is required. Means there is no user intervention is required. It can be a time dependent, means we can set a time at which it starts, or event control means there can be dependent or dependent job also. Okay, so if you go to that SM51, you can see that its type is BDG. If you want to monitor the background jobs, then you can go to SM37 transaction. What is spool work process? This spool work process is required to send some formatted output to the peripheral device. It may be a printer or a file or a database. Its type is SPU. In SM51 you can see that one. In-queue work process. In-queue work process is required for locking operations. Means if any lock is required for database, or so this work process required to process it. Okay. Now coming to the SAP memory management. Generally in SAP there are three kinds of memory available. One is role area, one is extended memory, and one is private memory. The role area is initially allocated to every program or every transaction when it is getting executed by any active user. That time role area is assigned to it. Once the role area has been consumed, then from the virtual memory space, SAP extended memory is being allocated to the particular work process. This extended memory is a core component of memory management system. Once the extended memory has been used, then private memory or the heap memory is allocated. Once this private memory is allocated to any work process, then it goes into preb mode. Means the work process is no more multiplexed at that point of time. Means it only used for that particular program, that work process. So for dialog work process uses in below sequence, uses memory in below sequence. First it allocates the role area, that called role first parameter. Once it is used, then it comes to extended memory. Once extended memory is full, then it uses role area. Once the role area is full, then it goes to private memory. And for other process, background work process, spool, update, enqueue work process, it use first role area. If it is used totally, consumed totally, then it use private memory, means heap memory, and finally it use extended memory. Now we need to understand how a work process works, how roll in and roll out works here. So the process, when every work process has a local memory, okay, and this is work process 1, this is work process 2. Okay, so when a user starts a program, new user starts a program or transaction, executes a transaction, it copies the role file, or if it is already exists in the buffer, then it copies the total data into role area local of that work process, and then execution starts. And once it is finished, then the current context of that user is copied back to the role buffer, and it's right into the file also, role file. So this is roll in and this is roll out. Means rollout means the work process is freed to execute another process, another user program. Okay, that's it. Thank you for listening. Please do not forget to like, share and subscribe to our channel. Thank you very much.